Hello, good afternoon. I'm Sierra and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I am making a Bolognese sauce and I want to keep it as traditional as possible, so I'm going to show you how to make that today with some fun trivia thrown in. I'm actually starting this around 4 o'clock because I want to cook for at least 2 hours, but the longer the better if you start it earlier. It's a type of sauce that can simmer all day because that's where the flavor comes from. It's the thyme. It's a very simple sauce, but it is so delicious because of the time and love that's put into it. So to get it started, I'm actually going to start making my sofrita. So we can go ahead and get started on that. So that's typically carrots, celery, and onion. Normally it's one really big carrot, one really big stalk of celery, and an onion. But since mine are a little bit smaller, I'm gonna be using 4 of them because I have to trim it like right here and trim off the little ends. So I want to keep equal portions of carrot, celery, and onion. And this is also a base with a ragu sauce. And the difference between a bolognese and a ragu is a bolognese actually it is a ragu that comes from a very specific part of Italy. And what makes it so special is it has the inclusion of dairy. Peel your carrots, clean up your celery, and dice everything so it's about the same size. Also, side note, I saw this hack coming around on TikTok a lot. It's that you can use both sides to peel, which is absolutely true. However, I have cut my finger so many times with a peeler that I'm going to recommend you do not use that hack. Whatever you're peeling tends to get a lot more slippery. So I think it's actually dangerous to peel like this. I would not recommend it unless you are you're able to maintain complete control over your vegetable and your peeler. Because I have way too many scars on my thumbs from when I peeled my hand. So you live and you learn. Be careful. So remember, making a good bolognese sauce is all about patience and love. So I start this in a cold pot. I'm going to go ahead and add my room temperature tablespoon of butter and about a tablespoon of olive oil. I feel like olive oil and butter is just such a beautiful combination. It doesn't get utilized nearly as much as it should. It's just so delicious. And then I go ahead and I turn the oven on, put it on medium heat, and then just let it kind of work. In the meantime, while that's warming up, I'm going to clean off my station. Okay, and now your sofrita has been cooking for about 7 minutes or so. And definitely take your time, but you want to cook it till the onions are going translucent like this before you add your protein. So I added about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, but you can use ground pork, you can use ground turkey if you wanted to, but I think that ground beef probably has the best flavor to stand up to this rich, hearty sauce. Let's just continue stirring it till it's all nice and brown. And this is still on medium-low heat. But now is the point where you would want to add your seasonings. So I'm actually going to be adding some garlic powder. If you have fresh garlic, go ahead and add about 2 cloves of fresh garlic to it. I just don't have it with me right now. So I'm going to add let's do about a tablespoon of garlic powder. I'm going to be adding a little bit of black pepper, about a teaspoon of that. Boop. And you want to add about a tablespoon of salt. Because as I like to say, salt is the magnifying glass for flavor. So, by the way, I heard that from Joe on MasterChef, who actually, since I started watching MasterChef, has given me a really deep respect for Italian food. Because Italian food has really humble roots, you know? And then it's crazy to see how it's changed as it's pretty much traveled from Italy to America. because as soon as you come to America, you have all these more decadent, like Italian dishes, because they had more access to butter and good meats and that sort of thing. So now that your spices are incorporated, we're going to go ahead and add our liquids. So I'm going to add 2 cups of beef broth and a 28-ounce can of crushed peeled tomatoes. And if you want to use wine in this recipe, go ahead and do a cup of wine and a cup of beef broth instead. White wine is traditional, but you can use red wine too. It just changes the flavor profile of your sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in. Also, a brief shout out to my husband. Thank you for the can opener. It's great. Okay, go ahead and add your tomatoes and your 2 cups of broth. Incorporate that. So you pretty much just set it and forget it. Partially cover it because you want some of the liquid to evaporate out. So I'm going to partially cover it and cook it for about an hour at this point, and then I'll check on it. And ideally you want to cook it for 2 to 4 hours. The longer the better. This is the type of sauce that grandmothers would keep on the stove all day long. But you should be able to get a really strong flavor profile after 2 hours. But we'll taste, we'll see, and we'll go from there. And this is also the point where you go ahead and add your milk or heavy cream. I'm going to be using a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. But you can use a cup of milk too, it just depends on preference. I'm just going to use a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And I actually added another can of crushed tomatoes because it wasn't quite the consistency I was looking for. And then I cooked it for another hour. I just needed more of that tomatoey flavor. And now I'm just going to boil some mini farfalle. And typically with a bolognese, you want a very like long and thin noodle, like a pappardelle. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I'll show a picture. But you want like a nice long thin noodle like that, or something with a shell. So something that can really capture and hold that sauce. This is a little untraditional, but it's also the perfect size for baby mouths. Anton, what are you doing? He's playing with the tripod. Are you enjoying your milk, bud? Hi, honey. He's grouchy. Okay, bye. But here we are, and I will show you the final product here shortly. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and look at those bubbles. And remember, guys, this sauce will only get better the longer it cooks, the longer it sits, the longer it's in the fridge, the tastier it will get. Favorite bite, actually. Look at that. See all the beautiful little... Look at that, so beautiful. I'm just gonna stand here and eat pasta. And this is something that anyone can make their own. God, it's just so delicious. And it's easy. All it takes is time and a little bit of love, and you have a beautiful bolognese sauce. Bon appetit, everybody. Enjoy. Good job, me.